So welcome here today, folks, to another edition of a pre-race predictions video. Here today, we have Homestead-Miami Speedway, and we have the NASCAR Cup Series. I'm going to go through my picks, my fantasy analysis on who you guys should stay away from, who you guys can maybe have in your lineup as dark horse picks, and who are must-haves in your lineup. And then at the end of the video, as usual, we'll see who I have in my lineup for today's race. So for starters, we're going to go with this guy, Ryan Blaney. I don't think he is a must-have in your lineup. I would stay away from Ryan Blaney. He has 3 career starts here. Now, granted, only 2 of those is with Penske. But in all 3 starts, and even the 2 starts you want to consider with Penske, he has not finished in the top 10, and I don't think he has led a lap here in his career. I'd have to double-check that back to Race Reference, but if I remember correctly, I don't think he's even led a lap here at Homestead. So he's definitely, I don't think, going to be a contender for the win. He might sneak into the top 10 just because of how big of a hot streak he's been on. Plus, he's been really great at the intermediate races this season. I just don't think it's a really safe pick to take Ryan Blaney, so that's why I'm staying away from him, and that's why I think you guys can stay away from him. Trust me, I want to be wrong. I hope I am wrong because I am a huge Ryan Blaney supporter and a huge Ryan Blaney fan, but I just don't think it is a smart and wise pick. There are a lot of other intermediate racetracks that not only he has good history at, but that he will, I can all but guarantee that he will contend for wins later this season. I just don't think today is his day. Again, hope I'm wrong, but now into the dark horse pick. So here's a dark horse pick that originally I didn't think I wanted to say about, but Matt Kenseth is going to be a dark horse pick for me today, and I think he could be for you guys too. In the last 2 races that he had ran here, he finished in the top 10, one of which was with Roush Fenway Racing, in which he got a 6th place finish that could have capped off his career until eventually he ended up coming back, obviously, to drive the 42 car in absence of Kyle Larson this year. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, Kyle Larson, who drove that 42 car, was stellar at Homestead. Between Homestead and Atlanta, those were his 2 best statistical racetracks. Although he doesn't have a win here, he's got 2 runner-up finishes and a lot of laps led. Trust me, a lot of laps led. He's won a couple stages as well, but he just never could quite get the win. And some of the factor was, of course, with the Championship 4 drivers, giving him a little bit more space, here and there, not really battling him as hard because he doesn't have as much to go for. And now that it's not the championship race, we're not going to see that for Kyle Larson if he makes it back into the Cup Series. But Matt Kenseth, for instance, could have a good day today. I'm sure Chip Ganassi has kept a lot of the information that Kyle Larson has had for that 42 car at that racetrack with Chad Johnston, the crew chief. And I really do think that Matt Kenseth could be a solid dark horse pick for today's race. The only reason I really don't like that is, again, because he hasn't raced too many races with this 2019 rules package, and there's no practice or qualifying. That's like the only downfall of it, really, and the fact he hasn't performed that well the last couple of races. Those first 2 to 3 races when he came back, he was running, within the top 10 throughout some of the race, and he actually did score a top 10 his first race back as well. Wasn't getting a lot of stage points, though, and it just doesn't... I'm not on the bandwagon of Matt Kenseth in winning contention, at least not yet. We still have, I think after today, we have 14 races before the playoffs yet. And obviously we go to a wild card race at Talladega next week where anything could happen. But yeah, Matt Kenseth, I think he could be a solid dark horse pick. I'm leaning about 80% sure that he is probably the best dark horse pick out there. And I didn't want to pick Matt DiBenedetto again because it seems like I pick him every week for a dark horse, but for good reason. I mean, he's in the top 13 of the point standings, and he seems to finish top 10 every other race. But yeah, I think Matt Kenseth is the way to go with the dark horse pick. So now, my instant locks for your lineup. These are drivers I think you should have in your lineup. For today, I went with mostly recent history picks, and it's kind of hard to do that with the championship race being in Miami. Especially since they've been doing this current playoff format since 2014 with the 16-driver playoff and the 4-driver championship race. With it being at Miami every year, it tends to favor the championship 4 drivers. Seems like everybody else kind of gives them a little bit more leeway in a sense, but these drivers statistically are still top-notch at this racetrack in recent years. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Kevin Harvick, each of those 3 drivers have finished in the top 5 for each of the last 3 Homestead-Miami Speedway races. So I think that for that reason, alone, you should have each of those three in your lineup. Another solid lock in your lineup is Joey Logano. He's won 2 races this year, and he also has a solid performance. He's finished in the top 10 in each of the last 3 races at Homestead, including a win and 2 top 5s. I think Joey Logano is another instant lock in your guys' lineup. And that's 4 drivers right there who I think you should have in your lineup without a doubt. And then you got some other drivers who we'll see here in a little bit. Drivers I might have leaned towards to maybe pick but didn't quite put in the lineup. So without further ado, here is my starting lineup for today's race for my Fantasy Live roster. Alright guys, so here is who I have in my lineup today. Of course, there's a look at who I had last week, and now let's set our starting order again. Basically just going to go off of the recent history at the racetrack as well as who is hot this season. So we're going to end up taking Brad Keselowski on the team. Solid, of course. My must starts, you see Kyle Busch, obviously he's finished in the top 5 in each of the last 3 races. He's going to be on the lineup. Martin Truex Jr. is also going to be on the lineup. He's finished in the top 5 in each of the last 3 races. And in place of Ryan Blaney, we're going to take Kevin Harvick because he is also finished in the top 5 in each of the last 3 races. So I've used Harvick a lot this year. We're only going to have 3 more uses for him. But at the same time, we're almost halfway through the regular season. So I think we can survive here after a little bit. I think Harvick could get back on track with a steady top 10 day and have a lot of stage points guaranteed. So why not have him in the lineup? We're going to keep Chase Elliott in the lineup as well because he has finished in 2 top 10s in the last 3 starts there. And it's really tough to say because last year was such an oddball kind of a race as far as the drivers that finished inside the top 10. I don't feel comfortable taking guys like Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman, that had made it into the top 10 in that race. I just don't trust them necessarily on intermediate racetracks. So we're going to stay away from those guys. I wouldn't really consider them a dark horse pick. So, yeah, Chase Elliott, I think he's more comfortable, a more comfortable pick simply because of the fact, not only with those 2 stats, but just the fact that he's riding a little bit of a hot streak this season. So then my garage driver, I thought about keeping Denny Hamlin in the lineup. He's got a little bit of recent success there, but I think Joey Logano's had a little bit more success. So we're going to take Joey Logano in place of Denny Hamlin on the lineup. Plus we've used Hamlin 5 times. We'll save him. I should say we used him 4 times, so we'll save him. But now we got to get into our picks for the stages and the winners in today's race. So stages are split pretty evenly here. I believe it's 80, 80, and 107 again. So a safe pick would be to take Truex because he usually runs pretty well here. See, he starts 6th in the race. Kyle Busch is a good pick also. Kyle Busch has not won a race yet this year, but he does have 6 top 5s, as you see right there. No stage wins for Kyle Busch this season either, so he needs playoff points, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's going to be a safe pick to take all the way through the stages, and I think Kyle Busch is going to be my pick to win the race. He won the truck race the other night, so he's the only Cup Series regular outside of Chase Elliott that has time on the track, but obviously Elliott got in a wreck, and he did not have nearly as well of a race as Kyle Busch. So we're going to take Kyle Busch to win here at Homestead-Miami Speedway today. Going to predict him to win his first race of the year and be the 8th different driver to win already in the first 12 races of the season by the time this race comes to an end here today. So there's my lineup. Again, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano is going to start in the garage. We could very well put him up there, say if Chase Elliott's not running real well or some other guys aren't looking like they're going to get as many stage points or finish as well. I think it's a pretty safe lineup this week, just going off of recent history, plus all those guys are high up in the point standings. I believe all of them are in the top 8 right now. So, again, safe pick. Kind of going with the hotter hands for the most part as far as the season as a whole goes. And we're taking Kyle Busch to win his first race of the year. He's due. This is a good track for him. And he won this race last year with the 2019 rules package and pretty much dominated the final stage of the race. So we're going to go Kyle Busch here for this one. So for more daily NASCAR content, hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video and comment down below. Who do you think will win at Homestead later today. And yeah, be back for the post-race analysis video as well. Thanks for watching, and enjoy.